My friends, I want to welcome you all to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. What I have here is the Fjallraven Abisko Tarp. With this tarp, there's two different sizes of it. This is the 10 foot by 10 foot version. There is a larger version that is 11.5 feet by 14.5 feet. Trip after trip, month after month, I've been testing this out, and I'm ready to share with you all the pros and cons that I have for it. Unfortunately, just to get this out of the way, this tarp is not worth your money. What's so unfortunate about that is this. First off, the company is known for making high quality gear. Second, the price of this tarp is really high. Again, this is the 10 foot by 10 foot version, and this costs around $140. Sometimes you can find it on sale for $120. For a tarp that's 10 foot by 10 foot, that's a ton of money right there. The trips that I've done out with this tarp have ranged from very warm summer nights to very cold winter nights. In addition to those conditions, we're also talking about wind testing as well. It is after all of these months of testing that I'm ready to share with you all my thoughts concerning this tarp. And I can share with you why I don't think it's a good investment for this piece of equipment. Originally, I purchased this product from Ray Mears' website, and that's because it wasn't easy to find in the US. Things have changed since I ultimately done my preview. You can now find this tarp on numerous websites, including Amazon. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because I do not recommend this product, but just to make the point that it's easier to find now than it was before, I've done that. Let's go over the stats real quick. The color of this tarp is pine green. That's the only color that this tarp is available in. Again, there's two different sizes, a 10 by 10 and 11.5 by 14.5. The weight of the 10 by 10 is impressive. It is 1.1 pounds. The weight of the larger version is 1.9 pounds. When it comes to the materials for this tarp, these are important. This features a 40 denier triple ripstop sill nylon. It features a 3,000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating, and this tarp does include guy lines. You have 2 millimeter Dynama reflective cordage. Touching upon price one more time, $120, $140 for the 10 by 10, and for the larger version, $240. This is what Fjallraven has to say about this tarp. According to them, it is lightweight and it features a strong nylon. Practical as an accessory for tents that can be used as a shelter all by itself. The 10 by 10 tarp is made from a very lightweight and strong 40 denier triple rip sill nylon fabric and includes Dynama guy lines. Made for a lifetime of use. Also, easy to use by itself as a shelter from wind and rain. While I did paraphrase that, those are the biggest points that the company makes. Let's go ahead and let's start with the pros concerning this tarp. The first pro has to be the quality of the materials that we have here. We're talking about top-notch materials. They're very strong, they're very lightweight. In theory, they should be very much waterproof and windproof. In theory, and I'll come back to this in just a second. When you go hands-on with this tarp, you're going to say to yourself, wow, this is impressive. It feels very impressive. It's likely to be unlike any other sill nylon that you've felt before, unless you've handled a Hillerberg product, something like that. Something that's equally as high-end as this. This is especially true if you've only used like polyester tarps and so on. When you go from something like that to this, there's a substantial improvement. And this is something that you can sense and feel when touching the materials. We're talking about excellent materials, and that's for the tarp and the guy lines. Next up, another pro. The fact that guy lines are included are a huge plus. These are high quality guy lines for sure. They are very strong, and in my opinion, they're just long enough. With that being said though, I do wish they were longer. Each one of these guy lines are 6 feet long, but I prefer my guy lines to be at least 9 feet long. At 9 feet long, you're not adding that much more weight, but you're adding a whole lot more versatility to the product. Because the simple fact is, when you head out into the forest, out into the wilderness, you're not going to have perfect tree placement. And that's why having additional guy line is so important. Another huge pro for this tarp is the fact that it's so lightweight. I mean, it really is, folks. For a tarp that's not made from Dynama material, this is super lightweight. Again, this is the 10 foot by 10 foot, and it's 1.1 pounds. That's impressive. I should reword that. It's very impressive. With this tarp here, it should be mentioned that Fjallraven uses a specialized technique to waterproof it, meaning that when it comes to the seams, they use a process that involves no seam tape. So what you have are very small needle holes from the stitching, and basically when the tarp gets wet, right, the stitching that's done, the thread, it absorbs water and it fills the gaps. And in theory, it should prevent all moisture from coming through. And again, I use that word in theory. When it comes to this technique of making tents and tarps waterproof, many companies have tried this. Most have failed. Fjallraven is a company who's done it very well. Fjallraven has done this to some success. MSR tried it, failed miserably, and there are other companies who have attempted this as well. Another pro for this tarp is the very small form factor. I mean, you could easily hold it in one hand, and again, you're talking about a 10 foot by 10 foot tarp. Not only is the tarp lightweight, but it does not take up much space inside of your backpack. Next up, everyone, when it comes to the construction of this tarp, it is beautiful. Every stitch is perfect. The seams are perfect. There's no issues here at all as far as the construction goes. And there shouldn't be. This is a very expensive tarp. And if the quality wasn't perfect, that would be a huge shame. Next, folks, there's plenty of tie-off points with this tarp. In total, you have 16 tie-off points along the body, and you have one in the center, making 17 total tie-off points. As far as the color goes, I really like the looks of this tarp. It very much matches my own tastes. And finally, the last pro that I have for this tarp is this. Overall, this tarp has offered excellent wind resistance. Going to the cons, unfortunately, I cannot say the same about waterproofness. Remember when I was talking about, in theory, this tarp should be waterproof? Unfortunately, it's not. This is a $140 tarp that's not waterproof at all. Unfortunately, with my testing, my waterproof testing, this tarp has proven itself to be completely unreliable in the rain. Once the rate of rainfall goes above light into like moderate into heavy, the tarp begins to leak along the main seam here. Water simply comes through every single one of those hole punches that those small needles have made. So all of that talk of the fancy construction, the ways that they waterproof these products means absolutely nothing, because it doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work. I find this to be very, very strange because I have older Fjallraven products that use supposedly the same techniques and they're completely waterproof. But yet with their newer products that I've been testing out, they leak like crazy. This tarp leaks, the wind sack leaks. For whatever reason, there's been a shift in terms of quality when it comes to Fjallraven's products. Their tarps are not waterproof. Their emergency bivvies, they're not waterproof. And I would assume that their tents are not as well. Now again, I have older products from this company that have never had a problem. In fact, I have 3 Fjallraven tents and I've never had a single leak. But again, the tarp leaks and so does the emergency bivvy, which they call the wind sack. In the end, I cannot say what's taking place here, but it doesn't inspire confidence in the brand. Because these issues have been repeated over and over with Fjallraven products, I'm at the point now where I would not recommend anyone purchase a Fjallraven shelter. And that includes a tent. And that's because I've lost my confidence in this company. I still love their pants, there's no doubt about that, but as far as shelters go, the confidence is not there. It's been shattered. As far as the cons go, unfortunately, we're not done here. There's other issues to talk about, and this issue is also a big one. It's not quite as important as the waterproofing, but it will greatly impact your use of this product. So as I mentioned before, this is a triple ripstop nylon that's been silicone treated. The company says sil. That means it's been double coated top and bottom. So this is a silicone treated nylon, a 40 denier, and folks, it stretches like crazy, like crazy. In fact, this tarp features the most amount of stretching that I've ever seen in a silicone-treated nylon. We're talking about substantial levels of stretch. A few years ago, I had this tarp out for a trip. It was a wet night. I don't remember it raining. I think it was like windy, and I'm pretty sure it was very humid, so everything was just covered with dew and whatnot. All night long, I had to get up and make adjustments to this tarp. And that's because the materials would stretch. They would sag. As silicone-treated nylon gets wet, as it gets damp, not only from rain, but from condensation, from your own body moisture, it begins to stretch. And so like all night long, this tarp, it would stretch, it was super windy, I would make adjustments, go to bed, wake up, whop, 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 and that's because the material had stretched so much. This is an aspect that you need to carefully consider, not only with this tarp, but other products. When it comes to silicone-treated nylon, it stretches. And then you have to factor in the cordage. Cordage will stretch. All materials will stretch, but not to the same degree. If you're looking for the least amount of stretch, polyester's king. But then again, it's not super strong, and if you want a strong polyester tarp, it has to be thicker, and that translates to more weight. Basically, you're looking at pros and cons for every type of material. That's not to say that all silicone-treated nylon is the same, because it's not. Yes, they will all stretch, but to varying degrees. Take the Rab Sil tarp. That uses a 30 denier silicone-treated nylon. It stretches some, but nothing like this. The Abisco tarp is about 10 times worse. I've never seen stretching like this before. It's unreal. To give you all an example of the stretching, this has been set up for maybe 20 minutes. I mean, there's a huge bow in the center, and I mean, like, the material, it just stretches and keeps on stretching. It's crazy. I mean, crazy, look at that. When I set this up initially, I could stand up underneath it. I can no longer do that. It just lays on my head. The only other product that I can think of that comes close to it is the Outdoor Vitals trekking pole tent. It features a silicone treated nylon, very lightweight, but man, those materials, they stretch so bad. Make sure to check out the testing that I did, the waterproof testing that I did with that tent. It's incredible. This product here is champion. That one is a close second. I've already spoken a little bit about the guy lines. I mentioned how good they are, but I also mentioned that they're a little bit short. Again, they're about 6 feet long. I really do prefer to have guy lines that are between 9 to 10 feet. So as a con, the guy lines are just long enough, but in truth, they should be longer. The next con that I have for this tarp is price. $140, $120 on sale. That is simply too much for a tarp that leaks. Yes, the materials are fantastic, very high quality, the construction's great, but this tarp is not waterproof. And again, those materials stretch like crazy. So in general, this is not a product that I recommend. To summarize my review, there are much better ways to spend your money. I'd rather spend much less money, carry a little bit more weight, and have a product that protects me from the elements. Yes, another tarp may take up a little bit more space inside of my backpack, but at least it keeps me dry. Whereas this one, it does not. It is my advice for Fjallraven to take a look at their manufacturing processes and their techniques and figure out what is going on here, because this is unacceptable. I mentioned this in the Windsack review. I mean, they're gonna kill someone one day. They're making these products, claiming they're waterproof. With the Windsack, that is an emergency product designed to get people out of the elements. And yet it leaked like crazy. It was just terrible. It just made no sense at all. In the end, it's just completely unacceptable for the company to be making products like this and then charging their customers so much money. It's confusing because the company knows the outdoors. They have a large following for a reason, but they won't keep their customers if they keep this up. If you're looking for a tarp with similar specs that performs much better than this, I would take a look at the Rab Silt Tarp. They have a 1-person, 2-person, 3-person, and so on. The price is about the same, but the performance is much, much better, and the stretching's not half as bad. If you're looking for a tarp that's of a good quality that won't break the bank, check out the One Tigris Bulwark Tarp. It's very inexpensive. It's always kept me dry. It's not perfect, but for the money, it makes sense. And also, there's a company called AquaQuest. They make fantastic tarps, and they offer their tarps at different levels of strength, so that you can get what you need. You can go with a guide tarp in the summer months where the weather's not too extreme, or you can go with a heavy duty tarp in the wintertime when the winds are rocking. No matter what, everyone, I do not recommend this product. It was a huge waste of money. Speaking of which, I purchased this myself, and again, it's just a waste of money. This product is a huge disappointment, and I do not recommend it. For this review, everyone, of the Abisco tarp, I am done. That's it. Make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this product? Would you spend $120 on a tarp that leaks? Would you spend $140, $20, whatever it is, on a tarp that stretches this bad? In the end, this product simply makes no sense. I have no idea what the company's doing, but I hope they fix it. I appreciate you all tuning in. Until next time, take care, be well, strength and honor.